What's going on, guys? SeeJay here. Let's take a look down memory lane. One of my first videos I recorded was my account deep dive, and as I was approaching Mr. Strider, as you can see over here, 2 days away from actually 7-starring him through just the passive 5 shards per day, and with that jumping into, your next free character of Keely, I wanted to take a look back and see the plans that I made in this video, which was around the end of December. How did those plans pan out? Did they benefit me? Did they hurt me? Did I stick to them? Let's go ahead and take a look. All right, guys. So looking at my account here, I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth between the video that I recorded at the end of December, and now we are in the first-ish week of February. I already had the plan of doing like account updates every couple of weeks or a month, just in a general sense, like just kind of showing where I am on my account and mentally remembering like what have I been doing. But now that I've been kind of creating content and I have videos as memories essentially to go back and actually look like what was my account actually at a certain point in time, it's kind of neat to be able to actually go back and look at it and physically see like, no, my account was X and now it's Y, and not just, oh yeah, like I remember I put a lot of time into this character for the past month and he's gotten stronger. Like, at what, how much stronger. So a couple of things that sort of happened over the past, a couple of things that has happened on my account since December is obviously Strider. We can clearly see he was 290 of 300. He's obviously now 7-star. We'll go ahead and look at my account here in just a sec. If we go into the actual account, so what we can see here is this is sorted by power. So my strongest character at the time was Eladin at a 5-star, and he was at 6681. So my best character was only sitting at 6600. And remember, this isn't like months ago. This is only a month, maybe a month and a half, at not even a month and a half, because I've been even making videos for a month and a half. This is at most 35 days ago, right? So about 6 weeks tops, but closer to probably 4.5, 5. So my account, actually, hold on. Let me go ahead and sort this, because I said that it's sorted by power, and now that I'm looking at it, I don't think it actually is. Okay, there we go. 7700 power Lord Elrond is my best character on my account, which of course legendary makes sense, 5-star, right? Gear tier 7 is my most common theme here. I had no gear tier 8 at this point in time. I had 0. You can see that I had the Rohan trio all sitting at pretty close to promotable to 7-star. You have Eowyn, who's 3 shards away. Ugluk is already promotable. Gods is already promotable. Eowyn's about to be promotable. Aimer is promotable. Eothane we can't see on the screen, but I'm fairly certain he's at or also promotable. You can see that I have, from a level perspective, just from recollection, Elrond is 60. I took him up almost immediately upon unlocking him to 60 as my only 60 on my roster. Ugluk was a 55 and Eomer was a 55. I don't think I had anybody else above 50 at this point, so everybody else is at a flat 50. So from a character level position, not many characters were above 50. It was just a very wide roster, right? So if we kind of just plug along, we'll kind of just take a peek. Maybe I went a little too fast there. Let's take a swing back. So if we look at this, here we go. So Eothane is 26 shards from 7-star. I know I worked on him because he's now 7-star. When I say 7-star, he's promotable 7-star. A lot of these characters are still sitting at able to be 7, but not quite 7. Malware, I haven't been touching, so he's probably somewhere still in that 6-star, 20-ish bucket. Strider, we know he's 7-star. Eladin is also 7-star. Pippin, we can see I started working on here. He's halfway to 7-star. He's now 7-star. Frodo's 7-star. I believe I got like an offer for like 100 or something like that, and I ended up picking it up. But I don't remember exactly how, because I do have the full LotR Rivendell team outside, like that are able to be 7-star, but I haven't invested into them yet. So Robel, obviously we know that Haradrim and Rivendell has been my focus. So you can see Bekaloo here is like 6,200, etc., etc. So Arwen is just barely into the 5-star bucket. Naramari's not 7-star yet. Webute's not 7-star yet. Yef2's only 5-star. So you can see, like, long story short, a lot of 6, a lot of 7-star, a lot of 6, a lot of 7 gear tier characters, a lot of 6,000-ish power, a lot of random teams, mostly probably Isengard and LotR Rivendell are at the top of my roster, and Rohan. So with that kind of like intel and mindset, we can now kind of take a quick peek and say like, all right, like what have we done? What have we done since? All right, so if we go over to my roster now, we can see in my account, we now have actually 9 gear tier 8 characters. So one of them that's not showing up on like that kind of top screen is Tabeb, just because Tabeb's only 5-star, but G8 and then 5 across here. So that's 6, 7. So wait, we got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, Rebel. Okay, so full Haradrim, 5 G8, and Rivendell minus Lomian is all G8. So over a course of a month, we spent a lot of resources into these 9 characters, but we talked about it a month and a half ago, that my focus point was going to be Haradrim and Rivendell, and I stuck to the plan, and you can see it kind of paid off. Elro here on my previous screen, and I wrote some of this down, so that's why I remember off the top of my head. Elro here was a 6.7k power character. He's now 10.4, so over 3,000, or just about, yeah, almost 4,000 power gained on Elro here alone on my roster. Webite is almost at 10k. He was only at 5.8. So again, another character with almost 4,000 power gained on my roster. And that's going to kind of stand true for a lot of these Haradrim / Rivendell characters, because, you know, we've starred them up. We invested the stars in terms of gold to actually get them to those points. Remember, we had 0 7-star characters a month and a half ago. I only have 3 right now. But again, Rivendell and Haradrim was the focus. We got Elro here, Webite, and Bekaloo all 7-star. Paladin is almost approaching 6-star. Arwen is unless I get screwed tomorrow, is 1 day away from hitting 6-star. Yeftu was 5-star. He's now, I've actually gotten pretty lucky on Yeftu, but he's now 6-star, 60 shards. So I must have actually been getting super lucky on Yeftu. Tabeb, we just dinged 5-star from the challenge shop. I didn't get Haradrim on the initial marquee event, so unfortunately I'm short 100 shards. That, you know, if I was playing the game at that point in time, I wasn't playing yet, I would have had an additional 100 here, which would have been really nice, because I think when you get to 150 or 200, you get the 50 off per pack, which I probably would buy for this character, because again, challenge shop is ridiculous, which then would put me that much closer, you know, like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month, I don't know, but within a few weeks I would have had Tabeb at this point almost to 6-star, right? Because of the 100 plus the 50 I would buy. So 150 out of the 200 I'd need to grind here would have already been accounted for. So having a 6-star Tabeb would have been pretty sweet, but unfortunately it's just going to be the long grind here. And you can see again, you know, the Rohan trio, they are all promotable characters. Ugluk and Ironhide I've done nothing with. So that's kind of unchanged. You can see Strider is also promotable. We haven't done a lot as we scroll down. I'd say the other big investment is I spent a good chunk of time going into the guild campaigns and going back to those characters to try and farm those stars to get them kind of just done. So like Pippin, it like most of the chapter 1 and chapter 2 characters that are like good, like, so not your Eldrids, not your Edrics, but the other characters, they are all sitting at promotable 7-star or promotable, like, you know, they might be 5-star character on my roster, but they're like done to 7-star. So a lot of them are already ready to rock and roll. Obviously we finished Webite and we already actually, you know, knocked them out. We finished Bekaloo and already knocked her out. But then you have you know, Pippin, Ugluk was already done, Gauze was already done, but a lot of characters on the earlier side are either 5-star or better, just because I wanted to get that out of the way, so that way if we ever do get another update in this game, I don't have to go back to those chapters, because grinding early guild campaign farm sucks, because you're losing out on so much of your purple mat resource, and one of the biggest bottlenecks in the game is the purple mats, and one of the biggest bottlenecks personally that I'm experiencing as I've been trying to get more power out of my characters has been the purple mats, because Elro here, so I focus on Rivendell for the past month and a half, mostly on abilities, so a lot of my characters are 4 minimum across all their abilities. And when I say Rivendell, I'm kind of leaving Lomian out of this mix. It's mostly your core 4, and then my Lomian's still kind of shit. Just because I don't really want to invest in Lomian, because he's kind of like a flex character where you could put Legolas on that team if you wanted. If you don't have Fellowship, which I don't yet, you could put, obviously, Narameri a lot of the times is going to flex in pretty nicely. So personally, I'm probably going to invest more of my resources in Narameri over Lomian, but I still have Lomian as a checkbox, and I've recently added back onto my farming daily list to try and just get to 7-star, because, you know, again, he's not bad to have, he's just isn't always used all the time, where you generally have your, you know, your core 4, right? Plus those core 4 are part of my arena team, and we'll talk about arena here in a sec. But yeah, I mean, I put a ton of resources into Rivendell. Most of the required or must-have 6-star abilities are 6-star. Game's loading really slow right now, so I'm not going to click onto every of the characters just because I don't want to wait 10 minutes on my screen for it to load. But Elra here has, you know, like all the characters, all the Rivendell are pretty much 6-star. Like I think Elrond is 6-star across the board besides one ability. When I think has one 6-star. Illidan has 6-star on 1 or 2 abilities, and then Elra here has it for sure on his like always retaliate or always counterattack ability, maybe one other one. So those characters are in a pretty good spot from an ability perspective. On Haradrim, Haradrim's kind of in the same boat. So we also talked about the level situation on my account. You can see that we now have all of Rivendell core 4 at 60, and we're slowly bumping up the Haradrim, who's 58 on 2 characters, 55 on the other 3. And as you can see, everything else is still kind of like untouched. So we've made some pretty good progress on, again, the core teams I've been focusing on. So those guys are starting to see a jump up in power because their levels are slowly getting closer to maxed. So I'm pretty excited about that. I've been pushing to 58 because 58 is sort of like the final threshold in order to get their abilities to max if you're trying to get them to 6-star. So I'm trying to get all 5 to 58. And then each day that I get enough mats from the purple side of things, invest into them. So Webite I invested first into on one of his abilities, so he has 4s plus a 6-star. Robel is gonna be the next one I'm gonna put investment into for the turn meter manipulation. After Tebeb, I'm not really sure, it could be Bekaloo or it could be F2, I'm not sure, but one of the characters I'm gonna get him to 58, and I'm gonna work on those characters getting their core abilities to 6. So still some work to do on Haradrim. Rivendell, obviously still work to do in terms of stars, still work to do to just really get all their abilities up in max, especially for the 4 here on the screen. But significant improvement, significant power spike in a month. So that's kind of the standpoint of the account. I have some notes here on just some characters that have seen star increases in just the month and a half. Again, this is awesome because like with the lack of content, and it's frustrating because there's nothing fun to chase. There's no pack offers, there's no calendar, is the game alive, like constant conversations. This has given me time and everybody else time to farm resources like gems and kind of stash them away, or start splurging on those resources because there's nothing to save and chase right now to start preparing for these specific characters that you maybe have had kind of on the back burner for some time because they've just been unable to be touched because you're constantly going after that next marquee character or preparing for that next legendary event. This last month and a half has been, I got nothing really to prepare for outside of just mentally prepare for the next Elrond event and the next Thorn event, but like we kind of know about those. So a lot of people are already farming goblins, a lot of people already have or farming out the rest of their elf squads. And speaking of goblins, all of my goblins are at 5-star or pretty close to 5-star. They're not promoted yet, but they're all pretty much 5-star. Grimpa is 5-star for sure. Our goblin's not actually. He's like, I want to say like 50 shards away from 5-star, but the 2 farmable node ones, so Orphus and Chef, they are like 30 or 40 shards away from 5. So for sure I'll be able to get Thorn at 5-star next event. The real question is if Goblin's ever farmable, because I don't want to really put the gem resources into him specifically, but maybe there's enough time to actually farm this team to 6-star if I really wanted to, and get them to 6 to potentially get a 6-star Thorn, which would be awesome to have a 6-star Thorn. So from that perspective, again, a lot of updates on this roster. I don't have my total collection power prior to and now, so I can't really see how much did I gain in that 30-ish days, but we just know that I have obviously seen a lot of power spike on specific characters versus the problem I had on my roster, which was very wide. And then just kind of like wrap things up here. So like we said, elves and Haradrim were my focus. They're still my primary focus, but now I'm starting to pivot a little bit in terms of like, who do I want to go after next? My thought is Fellowship. I'm still probably like a month and a half, 2 months away from Gandalf, but Gimli and Legolas are getting, Gimli's 6-star, Legolas is almost 7-star. I'm starting to think about maybe putting some resources into them because they're good characters. They work well together. Maybe just kind of get those 2 rocking and rolling. So they're kind of on the back of my mind. Road to Rivendell, I don't know if I want to invest the gold that it would take to get them all to 7-star, but it would allow me to finish the adventure for Sam just to get Sam to 7-star. So Road to Rivendell is kind of in the back of my mind. Dwarves, of course, are on my mind. I'm already like passively working on them. I'm getting obviously the daily done, and then on top of the daily, Billy and Killy both I'm working on obviously. Gimli's in a good spot from a dwarf perspective. Thorn I'm gonna get from the goblins at some point in the future. Who else we got? Biffers at 5-star. Balin I'm still working on. He's at 5-star, pushing to get to 6-star. So we've got a good plethora of dwarves that are viable on my roster. I just got to actually gear them up. They're all around 5 or 6-star for gear tier. So that'd be kind of like my next big thing. If we want to talk about raids, so raids, I joined the higher tier within Pants of Hulk guild. So we were in Opa Gandalf style, and now we are part of the next tier in here with Dungeons and Baggins. So they are like the second or third team within the actual full roster of 6 or 7 different sub guilds within the overarching Pencil Hulk guild. So that is cool. We're pushing into chest 5 almost, so that's fun. A little bit more progression there. So again, just kind of exciting kind of guild improvements to put a little more pressure on myself to push higher scores. And speaking of scores, I believe I was around 4.5 million total score, which is terrible, but that was kind of what I was pushing out with my teams all sitting around like 25,000-30,000 power. Not super optimized, but around 4.5 million across all 4 chapters. And just over the course of 4 to 5 weeks, I'm now at like 8.5, almost 9 million. So doubled my score, almost 1 million per week on my raids. I had one week in there that was just kind of like a low week because I didn't have time. So it was kind of stagnant in terms of scores, around like 6.5, 7 million. But we are now pushing to get into that 10 million bucket over the next couple of weeks, which is again really exciting. So we're kind of just constantly progressing, trying to get these teams to get that consistent 900k on the chapters that they can certainly hit 900k. So again, just kind of fun stuff there from the raid perspective. And then last up, I've seen a lot of progression in my arena team too. So when we made this video last time, I believe if we bounce back over and we go to arena, we were silver 1, rank 317, and that was around my all-time high. And now we are currently in, well, we actually were in gold 1. I don't know if you just saw on the last screen. We're in gold 2 now. We just got bumped down while recording this video. But if I go into my roster here, you can see all time, I actually was at 125 gold 1. And what's funny about this team too, is if I go in and I battle, I know this is like a meta team, but I didn't realize how much power you could really push with this team. So like, I could never fight a team like this probably at 68k power. But I fought teams that are sitting in the high 50s. You know, I mean, I'm not going to keep refreshing. We'll just pick on one so I can kind of go in. But for example, anyone in like that 57,000 cap, my squad is 42.9k. So it's still like bad, right? Like a lot of work to still do on this team. Mostly Ironhide. I haven't 7-starred him. I haven't brought him up past level 50. And that's mainly due to the fact that I just don't want him long term on my team, because as characters are farmable, like your Bombers, your Bilbos, your Roomiels, like I'm probably going to make a substitution at some point, so I don't want to spend the resources in both character XP and gold into him, when at some point, should have already happened by now, those characters will be farmable and I can start investing into them to kind of replace. But this team is 43,000 power and I fight like 57, 58,000 power other teams, like not elf teams, but other, you know, like Isengard mixed with Trio, mixed with Road and Rivendell type teams. So it's like 10 to 15,000 squad power difference, and I still win those fights. It's crazy how strong this team is. So if you're trying to push arena, if you have your Rivendell built out, like Rivendell and Ironhide is fantastic. They can seriously pack a punch. So just food for thought if you're trying to push arena. But yeah, I was just in 1. I'll probably push gold 1 this afternoon. Wouldn't be bad to get that additional kind of gem payout, especially now that I know I can get into gold 1. So I don't think I can pass gold 1 with a 43,000 power squad. I probably have to get my team up to like 50 or 55k as an elf squad in order to do that. So we're still pretty far away from probably ever getting out of gold into mithril. But like I said, I mean, in just a month, I went from silver 1 to gold 2 to gold 1. So pretty cool, pretty good progression, keep kind of pushing along. But anyways, I thought it'd be a fun video to kind of look back. I wanted to see what I've done over the course of the month and what I wanted to do, and did I stick to the plan, which yes I did. I really want Haradrim and Rivendell built out. We did that. We made some really good some good points. My next couple of videos this week I still want to make is going to be wrapping up my top 5 series. So if you haven't watched either one of those, I already have one out there for top 5 best tanks and top 5 best healers. My next 2 will be top 5 best supports and top 5 best attackers / DPS. So I have those on the horizon of videos to make, but I thought this one would be fun because I was just kind of doing a little bit of cleanup on my personal kind of tracking files, and I was like, man, we've seen some really good progression on my raid alone. What about my account? Like, how much did we do? Oh, I can go look back at my first couple of videos and actually physically see what did my account look like in the past, what does it look like today. So that was pretty cool. I figured I'd share it with you guys. But anyways, as always, appreciate all the support. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.